Welcome, it's Jen the Liberty Lion, and today we're going to go over verdictives and their comparisons as shown in Lecture 12 of J.L. Austin's How to Do Things with Words. And I've separated the content out a little bit, and so I'm doing this video um, to show better the comparisons between the verdictives and the other types of words. So this is copyrighted material. I got my stuff copyrighted the other day. This material is copyrighted. All rights are reserved. No rights to its use are conveyed. So we're going to go over examples of verdictives. And to remind you, because we went over this not that long ago, we went over this the other day. I posted a video on it. But what I've done is I've gone through and I've separated things out and I've given some examples, and I use the Constitution as my source for some of those examples as well as some other things. So to remind you what verdictives look like, we have acquit, convict, find, as a matter of fact, hold, as a matter of law, interpret as, understand, read it as, rule, calculate, and so on. And then in Lecture 12, Austin goes over verdictives compared to other types of words. He uses his exercitives first. So I've set this up so that we can see this laid out a little differently, and maybe it can make more sense to some people. I use the Constitution as one of my sources for my examples. It's a document that everybody can easily find on the internet. I use usually Office of the Law Revision Council under Organic Laws, where you'll find the Constitution, Articles of Confederation, and Declaration of Independence. And that's the Constitution I use. It should be basically the same as any Constitution. The Constitution in the Senate Library, according to some of the first uh, congressional reports, did not have the excessive uppercase, lowercase in it, but still the same words. So, okay, so I have comparisons here in this column, and I've done this for all his comparisons. So we have verdictives with, first we have exercitives, and we have commissives, and we have behavitives, and then we have expositives. So the root word of verdictives is verdict, and the root word of exercitives is to exert. Verdicts are judgments or findings, either official or unofficial. They're done by the authority, the proper authority, which is a judge or a justice. And exercitives is an exercise of power. The judges here, and then this would be such as the President of the United States, he has certain powers. Congress of the United States, they have certain powers. And so when they speak in exercitives, they're um, supposed to be within that power that they've been given in the Constitution. If they do exercitives outside of that, then they're doing something outside of the power they were given. And then they lose their authority for it. So then it's void. Okay, examples in the book is an assessment under a verdictive. It is yours. Overlapping with exercitives as opposed to an award, you shall have it. In the Constitution, under Article 3, we have the Supreme Court powers, and it says the justices of the Supreme Court may announce verdicts. Okay, so the justices of the Supreme Court. And then this is basically me saying they may announce verdicts. That's what they do. And they have executive functions, or that is executive power. So they have the power to make verdicts, but they also have some executive functions, and those are shown in the Constitution. They have to have some way to force their verdicts, right? So that's an executive power. The use of some kind of power or force is the right to um, force their verdicts, to bring their verdicts into uh, reality. Okay, so they must have the power to enforce their verdicts. I do not believe that necessarily gives the justices so-called lawmaking power, like broadly applying to all people, but it gives them the power to use force to bring their verdicts, which are usually two people or two groups of people, bring their verdicts into action. That would be a single verdict involving a solitary case. So one case, which can either have two people or two groups of people. However, legislators, and other justices and judges may use those verdicts to make decisions. So legislators may use verdicts by judges to better write future laws. When a judge gives a verdict, he's making law, but in my opinion, only for the people in the case. Other judges may choose to use the previous verdict as precedence, but they can choose not to, depending on the particular case in their court. Verdicts have an effect in the law on ourselves and on others. They concern the people involved in future-like cases. Let's go over here and exercitives to exert a power. So in the Constitution, groups of people or a single person or the office is given certain powers. So in Article 1, Section 1, legislators, Congress has power too. Our word power is our verdictive. Congress shall have power too. Article 1, Section 8, that's our verdictive, or that's our exercitive. These are exercitives, power 2. Okay, power 2. Article 2, Section 1, the executive power, executive and exercitives, these are like words, to exert, right? Power, to exert power. So this is the presidential's right to exert power shall be vested in a president of the United States of America. And Article 2, Section 2, the president shall be commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy of the United States. So here we have shall, and that is our exercitive. Commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states. He may require, that's another exercitive power, and he shall have power. Okay, these are his exercitives. Article 2, Section 2, Clause 2, he shall have power and shall appoint. So these are just examples. I haven't gone over the entire Constitution. This is just examples to show you. Article 2, Section 3, the president shall have power to, okay. Article 3, Section 2, the judicial power of the United States. This is a power. Power is an executive function. Therefore, the Supreme Court justices have an executive function within their judicial offices. This is an exercitive, but they also have, by the nature of being justices, have a verdictive role in their offices. They can exert power and they can exercise judgments and announce verdicts. So they have to have the power to exercise their verdicts. So they have to have some sort of executive style or executive type power in their office so that they can enforce their verdicts. Article 3, Section 3, the judicial power, which is limited, and their verdicts have an exercitive power. Article 4, Section 2, the citizens of each state shall be entitled to, and applying to all legislation, judicial acts, and presidential acts as shall is an exercise of power, and power is an exercitive, which is an exercise of power. So our overlapping here is that overlapping between our verdictive and our exercitives, a judge making law is an exercise of his judicial power, And judicial acts are like exercitives because they come with a right to enforce those verdicts. Overlapping, a jury finds a person guilty, and jury findings are like exercitives, so they have a power. Umpire finds a person out. Umpires or referees calls are like exercitives. They're final. That's it. It's the last call. Um, so here we have comparisons, verdictives with commissives. Okay, so this is basically all this is the same. And then we get to commissives. The root is commitment or to commit, to conduct. The exercise is to do something, to commit to something, to do, to commit. Okay, assessment. I hereby promise to. That's a commitment. When you sign a traffic ticket, you're usually signing I hereby promise to and some long thing about how you're gonna act. And then they expect you to show up to court, and if you don't, they send a warrant out for your arrest because you signed a promise. A promise is a commissive, and it's a commitment to certain conduct, and the conduct is listed on the ticket. The ratification, some of these are my notes, and I usually put my notes in these brackets here. So, ratification of the Constitution by the states individually, brings forth the contract of commitment to. For example, the preamble allows for the federal people, the United States, to set goals for achieving justice, uh, domestic tranquility, common defense, general welfare, liberty. Article 1, Section 8 allow the United States to, I believe that is our commissive here, to make law for the United States. Article 1, Section 8 commits certain entities to taxes. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, to allow the United States to establish post offices and post roads. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 15, to provide for the calling forth of the militia to execute, which is an exercitive, the laws of the Union. Suppress is an exercitive, insurrections, and repel invasions. Repel would also be an exercitive. But these are commitments. Okay, so the militia is used to keep the commitments of the Constitution, of the states and the federal government. Okay, that's what the military is used for, to allow them to keep their commitments to each other. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, to provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia and for governing such part of them as may be employed in the service of the United States, reserving. Okay, reserving is a non-commitment word or negative commissive of the United States. So the United States, because this is talking about the states arming and disciplining the militia or for governing, exercitive, such part of them as may be employed in the service of the United States, serving a non-commitment to the states, respectively, the appointment of the officers and the authority. So the appointment of the officers and the authority is reserved to the states. So the states are supposed to appoint the officers of the militia. So that's who can do it, the states. Of training the militia according to the discipline prescribed, exercitive by law, making power by Congress. Okay, so Congress is supposed to make the laws prescribing the training for the militia, and the states are supposed to follow the training. Okay, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 2, the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended. That's our commitment. That's their commitment to us, that they will not suspend the writ of habeas corpus. This is a negative power, a negative commitment, or conduct of the United States, a negative conduct of the United States. Of course, it's qualified with unless, so there's certain reasons that they can do that. And then Article 1, Section 9, Clause 3, no bill of attainder or ex post facto law shall be passed. So they don't have the right to pass these things. The United States does not have a right to intrude on that. Article 1, Section 9, Clause 7, no money shall be. And a regular statement and account of the receipts and the expenditures of the public money shall be published from time to time. Article 1, Section 10, no state shall. The state lacks the authority to do a thing. The federal government, by this Constitution, has the authority to do the thing because no state shall. Overlapping, the Supreme Court justices and judges make verdicts on the Constitution, and the states or federal governments commit to follow these verdicts. And if they don't, there's a right to use some sort of force, and that's exercitive. The Supreme Court justices or judges make verdicts on the Constitution that commit the states and federal government, and both are committed to them. Okay, so here we have verdictives in comparison with behavitives. So we have behavitives are beliefs or habits you exercise an attitude. So my example is under the verdictives that the jury finds you guilty. Under behavior, someone might say it's his fault, he's guilty, he did it, and they blame because once he's found guilty, it's normal for people to say, well, then he's guilty. We don't usually often think about it after that. Let's see, preamble for behavitives, a more perfect union. That everyone is a citizen of the United States is a belief, and a citizen of the United States has no actual written, formalized definition. Without a formal definition, people can be persuaded or taught to believe something that may not actually be true. We're in the habit of saying that we are citizens of the United States because that's what we've been told, and we've been told that repeatedly for a long time. So beliefs, habits, and attitudes, tranquility in the preamble, or general welfare. Also, we see it in the year of our Lord, maybe a religious thing. So habits. Article 4, Section 4, the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government. So this is an exercitive statement, but my point in writing this here is that this statement is not a statement of belief. It's not a behavitive. The statement itself is not a behavitive. The belief is that we actually have a republican form of government now. I do not believe we do, but many people believe what they think they see, and they think they are seeing a republican form of government. Okay, so the idea of what a republican form of government is where our attitude comes in, or our belief, and we're in the habit of accepting it because we've been told it for so long, over and over and over again. Overlapping. A Supreme Court may say what a citizen of the United States is, and that's their verdict. It may be false that the Supreme Court has an accurate definition of what a citizen of the United States is. Even judges have beliefs and false knowledge. They are fallible, and their belief or attitude may be wrong. Verdictives compared with expositives. Again, I have basically the same information over here on verdictives. The root word of expositive is to explode, is also an attitude and feeling, because expositives and behavitives sort of also overlap with each other. It depends on how we use them. So in my example of verdictives, quote, I hereby declare that you are guilty and sentenced to 10 years in prison. And under expositives, our attitude or feeling would be the judge was a coward. He should have given him 20 years. Same information over here on the Constitution, and over here on expositives, our attitudes. The Constitution is unclear, or the Constitution is quite clear. The Constitution is vague. The Constitution is specific. The Constitution requires the federal government to use gold and silver as lawful money. Someone might reply with, that is not true. The powers of the Congress specifically says that the federal government will coin money and regulate the value. It shows that the states will use nothing but gold and silver coin, a tender. It says that the federal government will set the values of the coins and the coin and coin the money, but the states will pay in gold and silver. The states are to pay debts in gold and silver. The federal government then coins it. It does not specifically state that the federal government will use gold and silver as payment. People have been lied to and believe the lies instead of just reading the Constitution. They learn these lies in school and from the television. So that's just my interpretation of what an expositive is, or a type of attitude that someone might have towards somebody saying that the Constitution requires the government to use gold and silver as lawful money. So the Constitution requires the states use gold and silver as lawful money. And an overlapping would be to set a value of a thing to expose the thing as cheap. The federal government has a right to set the value of coin. Expositive, to expose it, the federal government has set the value too low for its own benefit. They are stealing from us. The Congress of the United States has given itself the power to collect taxes. It has decided for itself to give to itself. Nowhere in the Constitution does it state that the federal government has a right to tax individuals. And here's your expositive. Taxation is theft. Okay, so this is from J.L. Austin's How to Do Things with Words, lecture 12, where I have separated the information out so that you can all see it laid out a little differently. Copyrighted material, please abide by the copyright laws. And with that, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.